So let's talk about scheduling. So scheduling is important to know because, and when it comes to scheduling, we got to take this with a grain of salt. Some people will say, you know what, if I can't just walk into a dealership and buy a model, well then you don't get my business. You're not good enough for me. Well, that's one attitude to have, but in real life, having an attitude usually isn't all that productive and doesn't get you that far. Because these days, the vehicles that aren't available on lots, there's benefits to that. They have incredible resale. So Marie, your Maverick, you waited a long time, but you got a special rebate from Ford for your extremely long wait. That was about $3,800 Canadian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 2023, it was 37 and some dollars Canadian. Yeah.
You got your original. You didn't get to protect your 2022 price, but you got the first available 23 price. So that had cost savings as well. So if you were to sell your vehicle right now, how much more do you think you'd get for your Maverick?
I would say I see that in Sherbrooke we sell a used car, sometimes used Maverick for $40,000.
Actually,
42?
your exact vehicle, you paid roughly about 34 Canadian for it.
Yeah.
And with 35,000 kilometers, a 22 sold for like 43 something.
That's good.
I think it was basically 44. So you've got about $10,000 of added value to your vehicle. Pretty simple. Now you had to wait a long time. It definitely was not available on the yard, but you're in an incredibly positive situation. This is why scheduling notes are important. The vehicles that they have a whole lot of sitting around on lots, those vehicles are going to depreciate far more so than the appreciation that your vehicle take on. Your vehicle's worth it, appreciated. It's worth $10,000 more than what you paid. That's incredible. Now, let's get to the specifics, the boring details for just a moment. And I'm sorry, that was Lily chiming in saying, Dad, you shouldn't be boring, but this is really important information to know. So you're going to want to note this. Now, the 2023 Mustang, the real Mustang I'm talking about here, it's been balanced out since March for the 23. So let's focus on the 24. The order bank will open. It already did open, the 27th of March, and they're going to start building them. It's going to be the 1st of May. So May 1st, they are building them. Now, you've got the Mustang Mach-E. I wish they would have just called that the Mach-E, and I know I'm not the only one out there that believes this, but the Mustang Mach-E 23 balanced out, or will be balancing out in July. So they're going to be building... they're going to be scheduling until July the 23 Mach-E. However, when are they going to start scheduling 24s? Well, you cannot go and order a 24 October 16th, 2023. That is when you can order one, and that means job one is when they start building them. It's going to be January 2nd, 2024. So this is a great example because we're going to get to Maverick, Bronco, Ranger, all your favorite models. This is a great example of how to understand what these dates really actually do mean. So what it really means, some people will think, for example, like, oh, well, right now, if you don't have a 23 Maverick scheduled, it's game over. No, because they're still scheduling them, and they're going to continue building them. In the case of the Mach-E here, they're going to build right up until the very end of December. They're going to be building 2023s. Job one for the 2024 model means when they start building 24s. Any date after that, no matter when you ordered, you're not getting a 23, you're getting a 24. And any date before the job one date for 2024, if you get scheduled, you're getting a 23. Except for the rare case where you get scheduled, you get given a VIN, and then they have to push it off because something drastic happens, such as a software issue where they have to stop building, or vehicles, or they build them and they park them outside. So we have seen that with the Super Duty, so that's important Ford news here. On a side note, the Super Duty production has stopped a couple times this year, or several times this year, and that's going to be the new norm at Ford, because Ford is focusing on the Kaizen or Kaizen model. It's sort of the Japanese business philosophy where everyone needs to focus on doing a task to the best possible manner. You're really quality focused, and Ford has promised to be quality focused, and that was a promise by Jim Farley, who said it'll take a few years, but we'll get to that in maybe a side episode. I just want to quickly talk about the Super Duty. We'll get back to scheduling notes. So Bronco Sport, now the 23 has been sold out since April 12th, so that means new orders being put in. Looks like they're going to be built as a 24, because sold out means all the ones that have already been ordered, well, those are the ones that are going to be built. They sold enough that all future 23 builds, you could say, are spoken for, even if they have not all been scheduled. So it's kind of a weird thing. Something can be sold out and scare people and say, hey, Maverick sold out, so that means I'm not getting scheduled. No, it means what they already have in the system, it's enough to cover their entire 23 production. So Mavericks are still getting scheduled, and we'll get to scheduling notes right after these important dates. So you need to actually be ready for the Bronco Sport. If you're looking to have one, you can probably find some on dealer yards locally. We have a few, and they're surprisingly good. I like the Bronco Sport, and I didn't think I would. And that was sort of like an emotional response to things, because, big Bronco, this and that. But the Bronco Sport is actually a surprisingly very good vehicle. And interest rates on any 2022s remaining are interestingly very low. And by very low, I mean the average new vehicle interest rate is around 8.5. And it's actually starting to near closer to 9%. The standard rate is 9.15%. And you can get a 2022 Bronco Sport for, I was looking at it today, it depends what region, what country you're in, but 84 months was at 3.49% and lower interest if you paid it off quickly. So that's pretty impressive. So the 2024 Bronco Sport, you're going to be able to go up and order one of those July 17th, 2023, but they're only going to start building those 2024 Bronco Sports October 16th. So before that date, they are still building 2023s, and there's still going to be some scheduling going on. So if you've ordered a Bronco Sport and you're waiting on one, you still very well may get scheduled between now and, normally they build out 1 to max 2 months ahead. So right now we're May 1st, and we're, for most models, scheduling July. So there's still hope for the month of July, August, September, October for many of these models, and November in certain cases. Now the Escape, 2023 Escapes are finally showing up, and they are looking very good, my friends. This is a quality vehicle, especially if you take a plug-in or a hybrid. Now the plug-in, these things use the transmission like the very, very similar to the Maverick. It's an eCVT. It's reliable. I'm not a fan of CVT, so don't be fooled. An eCVT from Ford or Toyota is a planetary gear set. It's a gear setup, big gears, one big gear and a bunch of smaller gears. It is a solid setup. It's not a CVT that's either belt driven or chain driven. And someone tried the other day, to pull a bit of not a fast one on me. It wasn't anything deliberate, but they're like, Johnny, all vehicles, all CVTs now are chain driven, as if that resolved everything. Okay, chain driven is a little definitely better than belt driven. Some are still belt driven, by the way, but chains with time can stretch, and they have particular problems that can arise. And I actually had that ready on the side here. We can go check that out. So the issue with the belts and just CVTs in general, they seem to hesitate. They can hesitate, and with time, as they wear, they're going to have more of a delay, And
That's not fun.
That's not fun, no. So the Toyota RAV4, beware, from 2014 to 2018, it had a CVT, but it's no longer an issue. So sorry, I was just looking for the exact, I wanted to drop a quote on the CVT transmissions, but basically it's just that when you press on the pedal, there can be a delay. And also with time, either the belt or the chain can also stretch out, and it can be quite costly when it comes to repairs. You're often looking at, depending on the damage in the transmission, for example, the Honda CR-V, you can be looking at a $3,000 to $8,000 rebuild of the transmission. Not a new transmission, a rebuild costing $3,000 to $8,000 US. So not fun.
Why buy an ECVT when an ECVT is available on the market?
Just to have that, just so that you guys see that I do try to source my information as much as possible. You see right there, $3,000 to $8,000. Biggest problems with the CVT transmissions: overheating, slipping, and sudden loss of acceleration. Shuddering is also a common problem. No, we do not want that. And since CVTs depend on the belts to operate, or chains, if these suffer from excessive stretching or too much wear, the transmission can completely fail, folks. So I avoid CVT like the plague. You know, we were so worried about wearing masks because we didn't want to get, sick. Well, a CVT transmission will cause a whole lot more damage to your family, because $8,000 can definitely cause some major problems. It can lead to a divorce even. None of that going on here. So the Escape, fantastic vehicle. I love the new look. We had a few come in.
It looks
as
like
you can
more
see here.
the Edge. Yeah,
I
love it.
That's a good eye. It does look more like the Edge. And someone in the comments dropped outside of reviews. I guess he realizes I don't like CVTs that much. And Danny Baldzuk brings up a really great point. You definitely do not want to be pulling with a CVT. And it's annoying because manufacturers that want to sell models, if you look at the Nissan Rogue, they're going to tell you, oh, go ahead, it's perfect for towing up to. Okay, maybe if you tow once or twice in the life of the transmission, no big deal. But if you're towing on a regular basis, or even if it's, 10 times a year, but, periods of 4 or 5 hours in a row, what happens, we talked about it just now, stretching of the belt or the chain can lead to catastrophic failure. So that is a huge, huge problem. And towing, as Danny Boldzuk pointed out, you don't want to be towing with a CVT, because towing, you accelerate and you stop, you accelerate and you stop, and because you're pulling something behind you, that's going to lead to more stretching, leading to quite possibly catastrophic failure. So I avoid those transmissions like the plague, and we all should as well. Now there's the interior of the Escape here. Sorry, going through photos pretty quickly, but the interior of the Escape, I just want to show you. We now have, Ford has made it simple, and this is part of Ford's future plan. I've been talking about this for basically from the time, more or less since I started doing this channel, saying that Ford would start cutting down on options so that the cost to build them gets under control. And it's also, when you have less options, it's a little easier to get things right. You have less, you could say less moving parts in the factory. It's more that there's less parts being switched and around. You can more easily spot errors, because Ford has now openly said, and using the Super Duty as an example, when someone in the factory spots an error, they're going to stop the factory and work at fixing the problem. So that's been a part of Toyota's recipe for success since the 1960s. And Ford, that's, it's my proof. It's a story from Ford Authority, and it's my proof of what I was saying recently, saying Ford is going to adopt the Japanese business philosophy, called Kaizen. So the interior, you get 2 colors, and now when you go plug in on the Escape, there's one model. You just get to pick if you take the added tech. But this is black and gray. I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, outsider reviews was asking if it's white because on the TV we see it. It's a light gray, really light gray.
Yeah.
I love it because it brings more light in the car.
Leather on the sides here. Also, it doesn't show, but the sides here, the bolstering, it's looks like leather. It's Activix. It's recycled plastic. Good for the environment. We got to reuse that plastic. And then the middle here is tissue, so you don't stick to it. It's not hot. It's not going to be cold in the winter. So it's a pretty smart design. It gets my stamp of approval. I think the interior is.
Do you think it will be
top marks?
Is it easy to stain that kind of tissue? Do you know that?
If
it's a light color.
Yeah, if you poop your pants, absolutely.
No, but normally my old Escape was light like that.
And those seats looked like someone had pooped their pants.
No.
They did. They really did. They had these jeans, circular stains.
The jeans color, when you go in the car and go down the car, we see a stain of the jeans.
Yes.
On the side. So
beware. Leather absorbs the ink in jeans gets absorbed even by leather.
Oh.
Yes, but leather, what's convenient is you can actually, you don't get the stain out, you add a dye on top of it and you can hide that area. Whereas with the tissue, there wasn't much to do there. We tried a lot. We would have had to have called a professional. So that's the black and gray interior. You'll see tons of photos on the internet of all black, but I want to show you something a little different. So we'll keep that. Actually, let's go to one of my favorites at Ford, the Bronco, because we're getting there pretty soon. We're actually there pretty much right now. The big Bronco production. Let's talk about the big Bronco. So we all know, we all think the 23 is sold out, but it's not. You can still go and order. And if you order something with a soft top, you're almost certainly going to get a build. The chances are extremely high. Now, if you order something with the luxury package, your chances diminish. If you take Wild Track, your chances diminish. If you take Sasquatch, your chances diminish. And a hard top, chances diminish. So soft top is a key to success. I ordered a Wild Track. The Wild Track is supposed to be, in far too much demand. But guess what? I took a soft top and high package. I ordered it late. I ordered it, at the beginning of the next week after it had opened up because of constant issues with the system. Dealer internet, internal dealer system, Webdo, couldn't get through to Webdo 2-3 times. So I ended up ordering, a full week after things had started up, and we're scheduled. Our Wild Track, our beautiful eruption green Wild Track, is scheduled for the week of June 12th. Luxury package, hitch.
That's quick.
Metallic, the metal front bumper, which is constrained to a certain degree as well. So we threw everything on. We threw everything at it, but we didn't take hardtop or luxe package. And there we go. We're getting a build. So the Bronco's not sold out. You can still order up a Bronco. But 2024s, if Ford announces some interesting changes for the 24, it might sell out faster than the 23 sells out. So keep an eye for that. So you can order up your 24 Bronco as of August 14th. And Ford is going to start building them November 13th. So very interesting there. You'll want to drop those dates down. And if Ford does offer some changes, because what is this? 24 is going to be they announced in 21. First year was the 2022 Bronco, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like out of it. No, it's the 21.
You had a 21, yeah.
Yeah, I had it. You had a 21 as well.
And you had a 21.
So 24 is the third year for the Bronco. I won't be surprised if there's a little bit, if they throw a few new things at us, maybe a new model or two. That won't surprise me at all. Major change or the mid-model refresh, maybe more around 25 or 26, because the major model refresh is scheduled for 2030, 9 years. And I don't blame them. When you're working with something that's near perfection, if your recipe's near perfect, don't go mess around with the chefs in the kitchen. Let them keep, KFC, I like KFC. Don't mess around with the recipe. Coca-Cola, they had the recipe. Every time they tried to change it, people were upset. So
That's a good comparison.
the Escape 23 Escape is actually sold out. And that's because the Escape had a programming issue. Either they weren't getting built or they're getting built and hidden off in other parking lots. But there was a programming issue. And it's only up until recently that they actually started releasing them. Now, obviously, from the photos you've seen, they're really releasing them now. And we got 4 within 2 business days. So they are really releasing those Escapes. So expect to get some good news soon on your ordered Escape. But if you go and order one, 23 is sold out. So think, if you haven't already ordered, be ready. This will sell out quickly. And some people won't believe me, and that's fine. People are allowed to be wrong, and sometimes I'm wrong. It's great to disagree. But this is a fact. Every hybrid from every manufacturer is in demand. Pretty much every hybrid. And if it's plug-in, it's in extreme demand. The RAV4 Prime, their plug-in version, dealers, salespeople will tell you a year and a half, and it's dishonest. In a lot of places, it's more a 3-4 year wait. So the 5-year wait for our area, 5 to 6 years, has actually cut down because distribution is changing and Quebec will be distributed more. But a lot of salespeople are going to tell you a year and a half, it's going to be more. Kia and Hyundai locally, we're always telling customers 2 to 3 months. When they knew very well, then it was 2 to 3 years. Now they're telling customers it's going to be a year and a half, when really it's 3 years, or more. So keep in mind, you're going to need to know that for the Escape, July 17th, you can go and order your 2024, and they're going to start building the 2024. The plan, October 9th. And I say the plan, this is from the fleet order scheduling information sheet. So I am dealing with some real numbers, but things can move back and forth because, well, you can't run a business with straight black and white, unmovable dates, unmovable. It'd be like if you started the production line at the factory and say, you know what, we think we're perfect. We're never going to stop this line because everything we make is going to be perfect. That's just naive. And it's also naive to think that, a manufacturer shouldn't change their, ordering and build dates. So expected build date for an F-150 Power Boost Lariat, I'd say is probably, I've been seeing a lot of F-150s come in within 2 to 3 months. Now beware, the panoramic moonroof, they are very, very hard to get these days, my friends. I was actually recently looking for one in a specific color. It's not charcoal gray anymore, carbonized gray metallic, with moonroof, XLT Sport. So Ford's building a lot of XLT Sports, and it was near impossible within a 1,500 or 2,000 kilometer radius, so about 1,000 miles. There were 5 available. So very rare. The moonroofs, the panoramic roofs, there's very few. So just keep that in mind. And it's called a panoramic roof. I'm sorry, moonroof is different. It's when you have a metal sheet potentially covering it, and it pulls back. So moving on, we've got the Edge. I have trouble believing this one. I thought the Edge was done, but it says the 23 has been done, sold out since March 14th. However, I look at these dates here and it says for the 2024, you can confirm to say if I'm a liar here or not. But doesn't that look like 2024 model year? MY stands for model year. We go down to the Edge here and we've got July 15th. You can be ordering a 2024 Edge and they're going to start building them. Sorry, the 5th month is May 15th. You can order a 2024 Edge. And July 17th is job 1 for building 2024 Edges.
Okay, so it's not gone forever.
It's not gone, but I do know that the plant in Ontario that builds the Edge, the Nautilus, and other models, it's going off, you could say offline for all the current models sometime in 24, because when it starts building 2025 models, they're all going to be electrified models. So that's... Take care, Marine Vet. Thank you very much for being in the show, and thanks for giving us a little positivity before you head out. So the Expedition 23 is sold out. That you could still get a build date because they're going to be building them right up to job 1 date. So job 1 for the 24 is going to be July 17th. So there might still be a few expeditions to get scheduled before then. And I'm sorry, I got confused on my lines here, and I'm not wearing my glasses. So August 28th is job 1 for the Expedition. So they actually do still have scheduling for the Expedition, but order bank opening when you can go and order an Expedition is going to be June 12th. Now the Explorer, it's sold out as a 23 model, and you can go and order one October 16th, and job 1 is going to be the 8th of January 2024. So order it up. Order it up. Be ready in October 16th. Go and order it up. So we're going to skip the Econo lines. We're going to not really skip the Transit. I am going to say if you want a Transit vehicle, you've got wait times of over a year. And realistically, unless they really increase production right now, we're looking at a year and a half, 2 years at many, many dealers, unless you go for an EV. So consider the electric Transit. You're going to consider how much you're going to save in fuel, and look to see if your region does have, tax benefits. Now, if I'm not mistaken, for our region, you can in the first year deduct the entire amount from your taxes. And I believe you can also get, it's $20,000 off this vehicle, a subvention, help from the government to pay for this vehicle. So e-Transit, try ordering one up. I bet you'll get scheduled pretty quickly. Just recently, I threw one in, and it wasn't even a confirmed order. I threw it in under someone's name, but unconfirmed. So it's pretty much like asking for inventory, and it got scheduled to be built the same week. So I sold Monday, and it got scheduled and was all, up in the system by Thursday. It was confirmed that, we're getting this built in July, because most things right now are being scheduled for the month of July. Now to the excitement, the Ford Maverick sold out as of, it says here, Ford Maverick gas sold out as of March 14th. So that must be a Canadian date, because we all know this sold out in the States in September, as well as the hybrid. Now there's nothing written on the hybrid, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty much the same in regards to order dates, because it'd be very weird to have an order date, a date to go order your new Maverick, which will sell out very, very quickly, have one date for the gas and one date for the hybrid. Traditionally, they've always blended these together on the same date. So you've got the Maverick right here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that does say July 17th. So yep. 2024, Ford Maverick, 2024, go and order it very quickly. July 17th, it's gonna sell out quickly, and find out if your local dealers that you're looking to do business with, if they're gonna take pre-orders. And then they themselves, let's say at 8 in the morning, the day the order banks open, if either, as soon as they open, if they're just gonna start pouring into the system those pre-orders. That's how I think. I think it's the best way to do it that way, because you don't wanna have, too many people going in to the dealership at the same time and then being frustrated that they're not able to put in their order because there's no available sales staff. So I think these things, a dealer should probably, heck, I think a dealer, it makes sense to be, taking orders right now. You take it based on the 2023, and yeah, it's going to be twice the work, but it helps people out. You take in someone walks in and wants a Maverick, take the order as a 23. Call the customer up, as soon as the new order guide and pricing guide comes out for the 24, Ford, please let it out a week or two before the order bank opens, so that us dealers, we can contact our customer and say, hey, look, now the price has gone up by, this is just an example, but $2,000. We no longer have X and Y as equipment, but we just got, B, C, and D. What do you think? Oh, you do want to confirm that order? Well, come by and either by email or in person, sign this. So people need to be confirming that. Now, job 1 for the Ford Maverick.
You need my eyes.
I need your eyes.
This one here. It's on October 16th.
Well, that's good, because I was looking at the date lower and I would have been wrong. So thank goodness you're here, my lovely partner here, my wife. So we've got the Ranger that's sold out. It sold out all the way back in October. So Ranger sold out quickly. That's also, and people are, even Ford authorities giving the Ranger a hard time for poor sales. It doesn't have poor sales. Ford is not making any, because they're making these instead. Ford gave us exactly what we wanted, exactly what we needed, and they're good to us for doing that. Now for the Ranger, the 2024, go order your 2024 Ranger at this date or before if the dealer's taking pre-orders. That would be May 26th. So May 26th. Go and order your Ranger at the latest. Hopefully your dealer's taking pre-orders. I have a feeling this new model is going to sell out quickly because it is so unbelievably hot, and it's also unbelievably reliable. We'll get to that in just a moment in episode 2, but we've also got the job 1 date is running at
August 7th.
August 7th. You can trust it. You can trust Marie here. So the F-150,
It's small.
it's small. So the 2024 F-150 with all its beautiful new changes coming along, you either love them or you hate them, but if you love them, get in line. I don't think it's going to sell out all that quickly. But why not get yours sooner? It's fun having the new model before anyone else. And that new model is coming on
September 13th.
And job 1, when they start building them,
November 27th.
Now clearly with job 1 for the 2024 being September 13th, and we're scheduling for 13th for July still, that means if you've ordered an F-150, you still have a chance to get it because they're still scheduling July. Next month, they're going to be scheduling August. And the month after that, they're going to be scheduling September, all the way to when they actually start building the 2024 F-150, which is November 27th. So there are many more months of scheduling for the F-150. Now, the Super Duty, we have gotten so few of these. They're finally, for the longest time, we weren't getting any. They're finally starting to show up, but production is gonna probably stay still a little slow on them because Ford is dedicated now to actually getting everything right. They don't want the vehicle to get in the customer's hands and then have to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 recalls. So they want to handle things, correct the errors at the factory. So Kaizen method, they're hitting the stop button when people find an error on the production line. So yeah, the Super Duty is super sold out. There's long wait lists. There's people who've ordered, a year and a half ago that are just getting scheduled now. That's just the way it is.
I love the way you say it. Super Duty, super sold out.
Now, the Corsair. You're going to be able to order up a 2024, July 17th, Job 1, October 9th, Nautilus. You're going to be able to order up a 2024 on...
Is it that one? Yeah, on April 17th. So
Yeah.
it's already passed.
It's already passed.
And it starts on June 9.
September, so that's a 9 right
September.
there.
Yeah, it's the reverse as
so
French.
September 6th.
Sorry.
September
My
6th
bad.
is when they're going to start building 2024 Nautilus. And yes, the new Nautilus, it's gorgeous and it is made in China. We're going to talk about that in regards to reliability, but just a quick side note on that. Just because it's made in China doesn't mean it's going to be horrible. So I'm keeping an open mind. And I've gotten a lot of comments this week that say, oh, Ford's going to have a vehicle built in China. Bye-bye, Ford. I even had one comment that said I bought only Ford since 1969, and now Ford has lost me as a customer. Bye-bye, Ford. Never again. And then people often say things like, well, I'm going to go buy a Cadillac. Well, that's just stupid. And it's rare that I say something is just stupid and I'm so as blunt and rude as I'm being. But Buicks are made, like lots of Buicks, if not all Buicks, are made in China. So why? I like consistency. I think it's ridiculous to say, F you Ford, I'm out of here. I'm going to go buy a Cadillac because the Nautilus is going to be made in China, but then you go buy from a company that has way more production in China. That's jumping the gun. It's stupid. It's a little stupid.
You can see it.
Yeah, it's simple. You just Google. We all have Google. You just quickly Google. So it's great to have principles, and it's good to get upset about stuff. Getting upset about stuff and choosing how we spend our money helps control these big, huge corporations, and we need to do a whole lot more of it. I'm all about the people having influence and power over corporations, and I'm very much against corporations having influence and power over us. I don't want corporations tracking me. I don't want digital currency that is controlled by, governments. I don't want everything in my life to be controlled. I don't want to be forced off of stake. I will go to war if the system tries to force me off of stake. It's just wrong. Screw off, Lef. I want my stake. But, big but, it's important to be consistent, but it is good to try to control corporations. So I'm all for the idea of, hey, let's discourage major corporations from shipping things off to China. Just don't go buy from another company that is doing it at a far more drastic point. And do remember, the Nautilus and the Edge were made in Canada. And Canada, this is actually pretty cool. So the Edge, which, it's not a whole lot of, new technology, you could say, and it's not the future, is being sent to China for a cheaper production. But Ford is spending, $1.7 billion in Canada so that Canadians, very skilled workforce, can build the new EVs for Ford. And not just EVs, electrified models. So they might be plug-ins. They're probably going to be a mix of plug-ins and EVs. Thank you, Nelazar, for saying, I want my steak is the quote of the year. Yes, that needs to be our rally cry. We need to fly flags that say, I want my steak. If ever they try to give us a token system where we have our own carbon tax, but it's based on how we spend our digital currency, so that, corporations and governments, they're the same thing anyways, that corporations and governments can really decide what we eat. So then at the end of the year, if you've gone over your carbon tax, they go, well, you know what? You went over your carbon points. So, those steaks you had actually cost you $250 a steak or more, so that we get completely discouraged from moving around freely, from traveling, basically anything that causes pollution, really just an extreme form of control on our movement. I'm sorry, I don't exist to purely just go to work and punch in and then get home and be forced to just either be a slave to my cell phone or a slave to the television.
Randall Peters says Johnny for Prime Minister.
Well, Randall, thank you very much. That's very kind. I don't have the good looks for it. In Canada, you have to be a very good-looking man to be Prime Minister.
And we're only in episode 1, and you already did your bacon crisis.
My freak out. Yeah.
Only episode 1,
very,
and it's done.
Yeah, the bacon crisis is very much a French thing. They call it la crise du bacon. Yeah. It's when a kid throws themselves on the ground and is just screaming and crying. Yes, I have had that. So finishing up the scheduling notes, I get the hint, honey. So the Aviator, 2024 Aviator, you can still order an Aviator right now. You can, all the Lincolns basically, you can still, nope, actually, production month for new order. Yeah, no, that's not true. The Aviator, let's focus on the 2024 if you don't find one on the lot, but you most certainly will find most Lincolns on the lot. But it's July 17th if you want the new model for ordering. And job one is going to be October 16th. So impossible, if you order a 24, impossible to get it before October 16th unless that date gets moved around. Now the Navigator, you'll also find one on the lot. But you've got order bank open date June 12th. And you've got job one date, that is an 8, August 28th. So thankfully, I've got my beautiful assistant here to keep me under control and to help me out with my eyesight.
I'll let you do your crisis.
Freak out.
Yeah, I'll let you did it, but...
And I'll let you call it a bacon crisis, because I love bacon. I eat 5 eggs and 2 pieces of bacon every single morning.